He waited in the dark, the countryside eerily quiet, as if sleeping through the blare of the train. Nobody heard the whistle as a warning anymore. I tried not to kick up any loose gravel. It was a little before midnight on Saturday, May 15th, and Main Street was deserted. As I walked toward the church, the wind blew quietly, rustling the leaves of the trees, which were lit with a late-night halogen glow. I had seen enough scary movies to enjoy the growing tingle of fear. With each step, the trees got unfriendlier and the silence falser. I stopped at the corner of Summit and Ratliff Streets, behind the United Church of Christ and next to the railroad tracks. The fear was becoming a pounding dread. Somewhere down Ratliff Street, there was an open two-car garage where a white Acura was still parked, where, in the early hours of May 1st, someone had bludgeoned to death the church's minister, Skip Cernick, and his wife, Karen. The bright light gave no comfort. I felt marked, ridiculous. The dread turned to panic, and the warning signs, wordless but unmistakable, screamed in my head. At 9:30 the next morning, I sat in a pew at the church, known as the UCC, alongside 150 mourners. The guest minister, the Reverend Jim Tomasek, opened his sermon. Tomasek spoke of the helplessness and abandonment they were feeling, the anger and hurt. "There is always this kind of evil among us," he said. "In the Bible, good is always triumphant. No ills befall the righteous," reads Proverbs, "but the wicked are filled with trouble." The people of Weimar have heard these stories their whole lives. They believe that living right will bring the good life, and for the most part, it has. They couldn't understand how something so evil could happen to two people so good, two of God's finest, who had lived their lives for their community. The man who killed the Cernicks was turning out to be more vicious than anyone in Weimar, or Texas, could imagine. Soon the drama would capture the country's attention too. In the cool of the evening, he walked alongside the garden. At one point, this had been wilderness, but she and her husband had cleared the brush and planted flowers and vegetables. Up until lately, hardly anybody knew Weimar existed, says Reverend T.L. Craig Sr., an elder of the St. James AME Church. Weimar? Where? Never heard of it. Weimar, pronounced Weimar, is not as quaint as Smithville or as bustling as LaGrange, and it's not a major interchange like Columbus or Schulenburg. The town has 2 motels and no fancy bed and breakfasts. Half the stores downtown are closed or in a state of relaxed disrepair. The business of Weimar isn't tourism but farming and processing farm animals. It's been that way since the town was founded in 1873. The population of Weimar has hovered near 2,000 for years. Some residents moved there to escape the big city, but most are natives who never left. As in the past, the railroad is still a big part of life in Weimar. 40 trains roll through every day, blasting their horns incessantly as they cross the country roads and downtown streets. One reason that Weimar has been so quiet for so long is that it's extremely religious. There are 13 churches, one for every 150 residents. For as long as anyone can remember, the UCC has shared a minister with Trinity Evangelical, which is its sister church. They hired one back in 1988, but he was no country preacher. The wiry man with the bushy mustache and thick eyebrows insisted on being called Skip, not Reverend Cernick. In a denomination not known for its frivolity, he told stories and jokes from the pulpit. He had never liked his own country much, and they had never liked him in this one. Even in prison, they didn't like him. He lived alone, and he would die that way. Norman Skip Cernick was born on May 2, 1952, in Sharon, Pennsylvania. 12 years later, his parents divorced, and he moved with his mother to the panhandle town of Friona. It takes Weimarites a little time to get used to strangers, and it took Skip time to get used to living in such a small town. He had come as an interim minister. Skip, in turn, liked them, because he felt like he belonged. He told his father that he was happier in Weimar than he had ever been. The thing his congregation loved the most about him was that he practiced what he preached: compassion. Nearly every person I spoke with at the UCC had a story of Skip driving to visit someone in the hospital. On the night of Friday, April 30th, Skip called his mother in Lubbock around 10. She had undergone open heart surgery the week before, and he wanted to check on her. When Sunday came, however, Skip didn't show up for the 9:30 service. His pickup wasn't in his garage, and some figured the birthday celebration at New Bilau, where he preached at 8, was running late. 1,200 people, including more than 60 ministers, flocked to the UCC for the memorial service on May 6. From the pulpit, Mark Cernak asked the question on everyone's mind: why? On my last night in Weimar, I went back to the UCC. It was around midnight. Again the streets were deserted. Again I stopped at the streetlight.